6 p.m. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Daman Zaman. The headlines. The foreign minister says Pakistan's foreign policy is on a positive trajectory based on national interests and self-reliance. The Speaker of the National Assembly and his Iranian counterpart during a meeting in Tehran have discussed bilateral relations and matters of mutual interest. The Minister for Petroleum says exploration of oil and gas will be given preference to strengthen the national economy. The Ministry of Planning has once again assured that Western Route is part of CPAC and would be completed to ensure the uplift of the less developed areas. In occupied Kashmir, the Joint Resistance Leadership has called for a complete shutdown on Monday to mark the International Human Rights Day as Black Day. In Yemen, 16 million people are facing acute food insecurity due to the ongoing war and ensuing economic collapse. And now the news in detail. The Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi says Pakistan's foreign policy is on a positive trajectory based on national interests and self-reliance. Addressing a ceremony in Multan this afternoon, he said it is the robustness of Pakistan's foreign policy that the United States has requested for assistance in the Afghan issue. He said the government raised the issue of blasphemous caricatures at the United Nations and also with the Dutch government in a strong voice. He said the controversial cartoon contest was cancelled in the Netherlands due to our vociferous efforts. The foreign minister said Pakistan made the decision of opening of Kartarpur border to facilitate the Sikh pilgrims. This step gave a message of peace and love from Pakistan. Shah Mahmood Qureshi said the issue of Kashmir was effectively highlighted at the United Nations and other world fora, and the human rights violations by the Indian occupation forces in the territory were also exposed. The Speaker of the National Assembly, Asad Kassar, has said Pakistan attaches immense importance to its fraternal relations with Iran and aspires to further cement them through enhanced parliamentary cooperation. He said this during a meeting with his Iranian counterpart Ali Larijani in Tehran today. Bilateral relations and matters of mutual interest came under discussion during the meeting. The speaker said vigorous Pakistan-Iran relations are imperative for peace, security, and prosperity in the region. Asad Kassar called upon regional countries to take concrete steps for peace and security in the region, describing terrorism and extremism as the biggest hurdle in the way of economic development. The speaker said all the regional countries will have to take collective steps to curb the menace. Urging the need for unity among the Muslim world, the speaker said the unity among the Muslim countries was necessary to confront the challenges being faced by the Ummah. The Iranian speaker Ali Larijani on the occasion said Iran desires to continue cooperation with Pakistan in all the sectors. The Iranian speaker said Iran considers Pakistan as its partner for peace in the region and expressed the hope that in future both the nations will continue to chart paths of prosperity together. Meanwhile, the second speakers' conference between Iran, Pakistan, Turkey, China, Russia, and Afghanistan kicked off today in Iran's capital, Tehran. The two-day conference is aimed at combating terrorism and strengthening regional communications. The Information Minister Fawad Chaudhry has said Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf government is creating an enabling environment for expatriate Pakistanis to make investment in the country. Addressing the Pakistani community in London, he said we are giving special importance to the overseas Pakistanis in our policies. The Information Minister said Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf government faces no political challenge in the country. He said PTI assumed the office in difficult economic situation, but now the immediate balance of payments crisis has been overcome. The Minister for Petroleum, Ghulam Sarwar Khan, has said exploration of oil and gas will be given preference in order to support and strengthen the national economy. Addressing a function in Rawalpindi today, he regretted that the exploration was not given preference in the past, and that is why the country is spending $16 billion annually on the import of petroleum products. He pointed out that we import 85% of petroleum products from abroad. The Ministry of Planning, Development and Reforms has clarified a news article published in a section of the press which alleges that the Western route is not part of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. A spokesman of the ministry termed it as completely incorrect, baseless, and wrongly attributed to the Minister for Planning and Development, Khusro Bakhtiar. It said the minister has time and again stated on different fora that the Western route is part of CPAC and it would be completed to ensure the uplift of the less developed areas of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan. This is Radio Pakistan. A special forces contingent of the People's Liberation Army of China arrived in Pakistan today to participate in Pakistan-China joint military exercise Warrior 6 2018. According to ISPR, troops of Special Services Group from both the armies will participate in the 3 weeks long exercise. Focus of the joint exercise is to share respective experiences in the field of counter-terrorism operations and learn from each other. In occupied Kashmir, the Joint Resistance Leadership has called for a complete shutdown on Monday to mark the International Human Rights Day as Black Day, to draw the attention of the world towards the gross human rights violations being committed by the Indian troops in the territory. According to Kashmir Media Service, the Joint Resistance Leadership, comprising Sayyid Ali Gilani, Mirwais Umar Farooq and Muhammad Yasin Malik, in a statement issued in Srinagar today, said occupied Kashmir is the most militarized zone of the world, where all rights of the people, including inalienable right to self-determination and also to live, have been snatched by the Indian troops. The leaders appealed to the international human rights organizations to take cognizance of the grim human rights situation in occupied Kashmir and impress upon India to stop its state terrorism in the territory. The Indian media strongly criticized the Modi government over wrong strategy towards opening of Kartarpur corridor by Pakistan. The leading periodical India Today said escaped from participation in Kartarpur opening ceremony to SAARC meeting. The Modi government has made strategic mistakes. The periodical said by rejecting dialogue offer of Pakistan, the Indian government has demonstrated foolishness. The Indian media has advised the government to adopt liberal visa policy for Kartarpur. In Yemen, about 16 million people are facing acute food insecurity due to the ongoing war and ensuing economic collapse. A survey report released during the United Nations brokered talks in Sweden says the country will plunge into famine if immediate action is not taken. Humanitarian groups say peace is the only way of ending the humanitarian crisis in Yemen. In France, the ongoing anti-government protests turned violent today on the fourth weekend in Paris. About 5,000 demonstrators gathered in the city center and at least 211 people have been arrested. And now news about sports. In the Men's Hockey World Cup at Bhubaneswar in India, the match between Belgium and South Africa is underway. In another match, Canada will play against India at 1830 hours Pakistan Standard Time. And finally, the weather. Mainly cold and dry weather is likely to prevail in most parts of the country during the next 12 hours. However, rain with thunderstorm and snowfall over the hills is expected at scattered places in Islamabad, Rawalpindi, Quetta, Yob, Kalat, Dera Ismail Khan, Bannu, Kohat, Malakan, Mardan, Sargoda, Gujranwala divisions, Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan during evening and night hours. To end the news, here once again are some of the headlines. The foreign minister says Pakistan's foreign policy is on a positive trajectory based on national interest and self-reliance. The Speaker of the National Assembly and his Iranian counterpart during a meeting in Tehran have discussed bilateral relations and matters of mutual interest. The Minister for Petroleum says exploration of oil and gas will be given preference to strengthen the national economy. Those were some of the headlines, and that is the end of this news bulletin. For more news and analyses, log on to our website, radio.gov.pk, and you can also watch the live video streaming of our bulletins on the link, facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.